Your number one Christian hit station presents Dog Watch. Former San Antonio police officer, author, and pastor Tim Rupp takes you through real-life scenarios and discusses excerpts from his books. You've never heard cop talk quite like this. Dog Watch starts now.
Hello and welcome to Dog Watch. I'm Tim Rupp in the Rev.FM studio in beautiful and wintry Idaho Falls. Here with me is station manager Gary Austin. Hello, Gary.
Hey, Tim Rupp.
Hey, Gary, will you do me a favor today?
Sure.
Sing me a Christmas carol or something. Could you do that right now?
Man, Tim, I would do that for you. I just don't have the singing voice.
Okay, well, how about just playing me some Christmas music later on?
Got it.
Just play it on the radio. That'd probably be better for
the listening
everyone
ears.
Involved, including our radio audience. Yeah, here we are. So it's, wintertime and Christmas time coming up.
Countdown is on.
Are you ready for Christmas?
I think so.
Got all your presents wrapped,
Close.
Yeah, okay, good.
Right there.
Well,
How about you?
Good. Got a couple of weeks. For years, Sherry's been taking care of all that. She takes care of all the shopping and stuff. Sometimes I'll get some stuff. She'll say, hey, you need to get something for so-and-so, or, could you get something? And I'll go ahead and order that. Or mostly that's what I do, just order stuff online.
Yeah.
That's easier. So I'm squared away for Christmas. Yeah.
Cool. Man, you got it pretty good.
Yeah,
Not too shabby.
And next week we're making a quick trip down south to Arkansas and doing some ministry support stuff down there.
Nice.
We'll just a quick trip for a week and be back. We'll be back. We plan to be back the 23rd.
Okay. Are you
all
driving?
Goes well. Yeah, we're driving.
Oh, you are.
So that's what I'm saying. All goes well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have to watch the road conditions.
That's right.
Come
this
back
isn't,
early
this isn't your first rodeo, though.
This is not my first rodeo.
You've done it a few times.
Yeah. They've been in there a few times. So anyways, something to keep in prayer. Hey, so let's look at our Officer Down memorial page. The officers that have been killed in the line of duty in America, and we honor them. And so the one I got here is Deputy U.S. Marshal Theodore W. Moses.
Okay.
Last name Moses.
Moses.
Yeah, last name Moses.
I like it.
He was part of the United States Department of Justice U.S. Marshal Service, so he's U.S. Marshal. End of watch December 6th on this date in 1869.
Wow.
1869. It says here, Deputy Marshal Moses had gone to Camden County, Missouri to arrest a man suspected of illegal distilling.
Distilling,
so this
was
far before Prohibition.
Right.
1869.
Right.
Must have been a dry county.
Yeah.
There's still counties in Arkansas that are dry counties.
Really?
Yep. Cannot sell
Oh, my
alcohol
goodness.
They have exceptions. Like if you have this kind of a business or something, if you're a member of a club, that's what it is.
Huh.
So if you're a member of a club, you can serve. So what they do, a lot of the restaurants, you join a restaurant.
I'll be darned.
You're part of the club, man. $1 a year, and you're in the club. And you can, anyways, interesting. Okay, so Marshal Camden went to the suspect's home with the intent of taking him into custody, but discovered that the suspect was out hunting and was not expected to be back later. Because of the late hour, Deputy Marshal Moses retired to his room in hopes of catching the suspect the following day. During the night, the suspect, who had gotten word that a warrant was out for his arrest, crept into Marshal Moses' room and shot him in his sleep.
Oh.
He then muttered that no one was going to arrest him and fled. Deputy
my goodness.
Marshal Moses succumbed to his wound, died within a half an hour. The innkeeper, who overheard the suspect say that he would not be arrested now that Deputy Marshal Moses was dead, alerted the authorities. After a 6-month manhunt, marshals tracked the suspect to Arkansas, speaking of Arkansas, where he was arrested on June 10, 1870, and brought back to Missouri to face murder charges. On September 23rd, he escaped from the jail.
Wow.
End of story.
All done.
That's it. Deputy Marshal Moses was a Union lieutenant quartermaster in the 14th Missouri State Militia Cavalry. So he served with the Union in the Civil War.
Huh.
Companies F and S during the Civil War, age 29 years old.
Oh.
Wow.
A baby.
Yeah, young man.
Wow. Well,
what do you have there, Gary?
This is Agent Billy Fred Clardy. the third. Here we go.
Billy Fred Clardy.
Huntsville Police Department, Alabama, December 6th, 2019, so a few years ago. Very interesting. Multi-agency Gulf Coast task force was conducting a buy-bust operation at a home. A buy-bust.
You know what that is?
No.
A buy-bust. So there was a drug task force. They were going to make a buy.
Okay.
And then as soon as they made the buy, they're going to make the arrest. A buy-bust. That's what that
swap.
means. Yeah.
All right. Agents attempted to take the suspect into custody as the man delivered a large amount of narcotics to the home, and the man immediately opened fire, striking Agent Clardy in an area not protected by his vest. So wearing a vest. And so the man, 42, the suspect, then fled on foot but was taken into custody after a short foot pursuit. He was charged, of course, with capital murder, and prosecutors sought the death penalty. Agent Clardy was a U.S. Army veteran, and he had served with the Huntsville Police Department for 14 years and had previously served with Limestone County Sheriff's Office, the Ardmore Police Department, and the Fayetteville, Tennessee Police Department. So a few areas there. He is survived by his wife, 5 children, 2 brothers, and his mom. Interesting, though, Agent Clardy's father, Police Officer Bill Clardy Jr., was also killed in the line of duty.
Wow.
Yeah, while serving with the Huntsville Police Department. So same police department, but he was killed in a vehicle crash on May 3rd, 1978.
Wow.
So
think of Officer Clardy's mom.
Yeah.
Lost her husband and her son to policing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure if she's still alive now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the family lost two you know, a dad and a mom, or dad and a grandfather, or whatever. 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. He was 48, and so yeah.
So there's very likely that his mom's still alive.
Yeah,
you know,
I would think so. But yeah, that's pretty devastating. Of course, the wives, the moms, you know, they
the kids
and the husbands,
Yeah.
you know, they worry every day. There's that worry. You know, I think that you just don't know.
And another thing, and we learned this, and a lot of them. He again was a military veteran.
Yeah.
And so too was Deputy Marshal Moses in 1869, military veteran, and that's common. A lot of police officers, military veterans.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it goes. They get out of the service and then they join the ranks of policing. Some right away, like I did. I mean, immediately. Some it's a few years later.
Yeah.
Maybe 10, 15 years later, but they come. It's kind of interesting that a lot of officers are military vets.
Yeah.
So thank them for the service, and we'll honor those who were killed in the line of duty.
Yes.
So we got today, what got me on today's topic is high-speed pursuits. And what caught my eye was a low-speed pursuit.
Okay.
You know, it says this is from Police One. A 12-year-old in a stolen forklift leads Michigan officers on a slow-speed pursuit. And they had the video on this. I don't know if you got a chance to watch the video.
Yeah, it was great.
It's crazy. I mean, when I first read it, I was thinking of a forklift, like one of them smaller forklifts, you know.
Right.
This thing was huge. This thing was
not tiny.
I mean, it had like tractor tires all the way around.
Yeah.
This is a huge forklift.
It
This
is.
wasn't a little thing. And this let me just read. This is from Ann Arbor, Michigan. 12-year-old is in custody after stealing a forklift from a middle school. The Ann Arbor Police Department said on November 25th, around 6:45 p.m., officers received a report of a child attempting to steal a forklift. A few minutes later, officers located the stolen forklift driving on a nearby road. Multiple officers initiated a pursuit of the vehicle at speeds of 15 to 20 miles an hour with the emergency lights and sirens on. During the pursuit, the forklift struck 10 parked vehicles. You see some of them vehicles, some of them were just like completely knocked.
Yeah.
I said, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Around 7 7:18 p.m., officers terminated the pursuit when the forklift drove across a bridge. At the time, deputies with the Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office picked up the pursuit and followed the forklift until the 12-year-old boy was stopped at 7:53. So it started at 6:45 and ended at 7:53, and over an hour later.
Man.
And they finally caught this kid and took him into custody, and he was put in juvenile. And we laugh about that kind of. It's kind of funny, but fortunately no one was injured.
Yeah.
So very, very fortunate. But there's a lot of damage done.
There is.
And cars get damaged.
12 years old. I can't even imagine. Now, my daughter just turned 13. She's my youngest. But at 12 years old, I just can't even imagine. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just over an hour, my daughter wouldn't even know how to drive it. But I don't know.
At 12 years old, I could see a bunch of boys, hanging around a small forklift. Hey, I dare you drive and get it and drive it, and the police come and you just jump and run.
Right. Exactly.
But it's crazy.
But to run from the police, to have that
what are you going to do
in
with
your
this
mind?
stuff?
Exactly.
Are you going to sell it in the black market? Come on.
You're not going to get away.
Yeah.
You're just
causing more damage.
Yeah.
It's just, anyway. And so I started looking at, and I found this other article, and this is from November 28th. Houston PD calls for stronger penalties for suspects involved in pursuits.
Interesting.
And this says here that the Houston Police Department is calling on lawmakers for harsher penalties for suspects involved in high-speed pursuits. This comes after a 19-year-old bystander on a motorcycle was hit and killed during an early morning pursuit. Houston police said officers saw two vehicles racing on the interstate at speeds over 100 miles an hour. Now, here's a high-speed pursuit. These guys are racing.
Yeah.
So you got a couple of knuckleheads in cars over 100 miles an hour.
Exactly.
And the police try to stop them, and they kept on running. The pursuit ended after one of the vehicles exited the highway, sped through a red light, and struck the motorcyclist. The 19-year-old motorcyclist was pronounced dead at the scene. And this is a quote from Executive Assistant Chief Larry Satterwhite. He said this, quote, "We have a complainant who won't go home to his family because a suspect in a stolen vehicle refused to stop and ran again from police and ended up killing him at an intersection." Now, I like the statement he made there because he put it on the suspect.
Mm-hmm.
The suspect in the stolen vehicle refused to stop. It wasn't the police's fault.
No.
It was the suspect's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And so, we find out here, it says, a few months ago, Houston police introduced new protocols aimed at curbing police pursuits following the death of a sergeant's mother who was killed in a vehicle by a vehicle who attempted to evade capture in September. The updated rules stipulate that Houston police are now prohibited from engaging in vehicle pursuits when the potential charges are restricted to Class C offenses, traffic-related offenses, or nonviolent misdemeanor offenses. So what they're saying, Gary, is Houston PD, if you see somebody and they're wanted for a Class C offense. Now, what's a Class C offense? In Texas, a Class C offense is like a minor petty theft.
Mm-hmm.
So if you steal, something that's like $100 or less, I'm not sure what it is now, you go jump in your car and take off, the police are not going to pursue you. If you just continue on, they're just going to stop. Traffic-related offenses, we understand what traffic-related offenses are. Nonviolent misdemeanor offenses. So what is a nonviolent misdemeanor offense? So somebody, we're on the church property, or somebody could come out with a sledgehammer and start breaking doors and breaking stuff and causing a lot of damage to the side of the building, thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And they jump in the car and take off, and the police won't pursue them.
Oh, my goodness. This is just, it's pretty a touchy subject because it's so much more of, I remember when I was younger, my dad was involved in a couple chases, and I remember him saying that they tried to get the suspect to turn, certain ways.
Uh-huh.
And so they would have police officers come at him
and to force
different directions and forced him to turn a certain way.
On a street where he was not going to go down where the line of traffic is from. Yeah, and they try to do this, and there's different things that police use. One of them is to hit the rear quarter panel of the car to drive their police unit into it, and it's a safe maneuver. And it gets the car to spin around and stop, and hopefully, the police can make the arrest. So it's something things, and they have the stop sticks that they can put out, and we know that stop sticks. There's officers been killed putting out stop sticks. It's just the bottom line is policing is a dangerous profession.
It is.
But what is the right thing to do? I found another article, and this article comes out of U.S. News. It's an AP article, and it says this: a new report calls for police not to start a pursuit unless a violent crime has been committed and the suspect poses an imminent threat. So it says, unless a violent crime has been committed and the suspect poses an imminent threat. If you read between the lines of that one, that means that somebody could commit a violent crime. Let's say rape of a child, but there's no more immediate threat. He's just trying to get away.
Mm-hmm.
Can't pursue.
It's right. Yep.
Unless he's an imminent threat.
Yep.
The study released Tuesday, and this comes from September 29th, so this was a couple months ago. The study released by the Police Executive Research Forum, a national think tank on policing standards, follows a spike in fatalities from police chases during the pandemic and the criticism of several police departments for the increased use of pursuits, including in Houston and New York City. So you can see this comes on the heels of the pandemic. Remember what was going on during the pandemic? 2020? George Floyd and all that other stuff, and all the criticism of the police. Drop down a little bit, and it says this: fatal crashes involving police pursuit peaked at 455 in 2020, the highest since 2007, when there was 372. So from 2007 there was 372, and all of a sudden in 2020 455. Why are more people running? It says this. Wexler said the data shows that even though there were fewer people driving during the COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020, those on the road were driving more recklessly. But Wexler said that people rarely go to jail for reckless driving, for stolen cars, or for many of the smaller crimes officers have used in justifying their pursuits. So why were people in 2020 running from the police and not stopping? That lack of respect.
Yeah, I think so.
They saw what was going on, and because of all this stuff, and they talk about limiting search pursuits and not pursuing unless somebody's really is something dangerous. This guy Jeffrey Albert, who chaired the working group, has produced a report and he's a researcher at the University of South Carolina specializing in high-risk police activities. Albert said he has advocated for a long time for police to only pursue suspects in violent offenses. And this is a quote from him. Quote, in the past 20 years, the pendulum has swung in both directions on pursuits. Some department leaders had allowed pursuits for car thefts because everyone involved in a car theft wouldn't stop when they were approached by officers, Albert said. But that's property. You may get the car back, but what difference does that make compared to losing a life? So what he's saying, and it's got some credibility. Think about the dangerousness of the pursuit. How dangerous is it? And what happened in San Antonio, when I worked in San Antonio, when I was a police officer, if somebody ran, we chased them. Mm-hmm. We chased them until they either got away, which they rarely did, or we caught them, they stopped, or whatever. Mm-hmm. The pursuit ended with somebody going to jail in that car. That's the way the pursuit ended. And sometimes there were, people were killed. People were injured. But making that that comment if it's a property crime. So if you're only going to pursue, how do you know what's going on in the car? Why is that guy running?
Mm-hmm.
What if he had just kidnapped a child?
Exactly.
And you're going to stop him for expired license plates, and he takes off and runs.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get the license plates. I'll get them later, And so you got the license plates. Then you find out that, them were stolen license plates. They don't belong to him anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And now this kid is across the border of Mexico, and in the So how do you know? What are you going to do? Then again, are you going to pursue someone with the child in the car?
Right.
Because you don't want that child getting in there. So there's a lot of decision making, and what I would do is I would leave it up to the police officers to make that decision. Now that doesn't mean that the police officer is actually driving and behind the person and making that decision. You have a sergeant that's monitoring what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the sergeant can ask the officer, what are the traffic conditions? What's it like, what are the weather conditions? Because sometimes as a police officer, you get pursuing somebody, your adrenaline gets pumped up,
mm-hmm.
and you get focused on, I'm going to stop this guy or this gal. I'm going to make an arrest. That's what I'm doing. That's what policemen are paid to do.
Right.
But sometimes when you have a sergeant that's got more experience, and he or she is listening to pursuit, and they can calmly say, okay, think about this, do this. That was what was instituted when I was a sergeant on the police department. And I remember calling some of them chases. And I would ask the officers, I remember this one officer, I asked the officer, what are the road conditions? And just after I asked him that, there was an accident. But he told me later, there's nobody injured. He told me later, he said, Sarge, as soon as you asked me that, I started to think it was in the fall time and it was wet, and there's a bunch of leaves on the road, and they were slick.
Oh.
He said, I didn't think about it, but he goes, I slowed down, and because he slowed down, the accident that happened was not a major accident. It was a minor accident. So things like this, but just saying we're gonna have a no chase policy.
Right.
I don't think that's a good idea.
Nope, I don't either, because it seems like you're gonna get more people that are just gonna, they're not gonna chase me, so I'm gonna.
You're right. You're gonna get more people, and so one way to curb that is to make running from the police a serious event, offense, and put people in jail for a long time for doing that.
Yeah.
To deter that behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that way, even if it's a misdemeanor, you're going to think twice about maybe running if running is a felony.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean?
If you're wanted for warrants, and a lot of people run because they've got a couple of warrants out for them. Minor traffic warrants. I don't want to go to jail.
Could be failure to appear or, yeah.
I mean, good grief. You go to jail, you'll be in jail overnight, you get bonded out, you're gone the next day. But if you run from the police, now it's a serious felony offense. Now you're looking at prison time.
Exactly.
Not just, spending a couple of days cleaning up the neighborhood or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So a lot of things to consider and think about. We don't have the answers.
No.
But hey, Gary has got Dog Watch on Amazon, Google, Apple, and Spotify podcast platforms. Gary's just doing an amazing job here. And he didn't tell me to say this. He's doing a great job with the Rev.fm, he's bringing us right into the 20th century, no doubt. Oh, I'm sorry. He's bringing us into the 21st century. He's going for the 22nd as we sit here. Hey, thanks for listening. If you have a topic or question you want, address on Dog Watch, send me a email. You can email suggestions, questions, comments, or complaints at dogwatch@therev.fm. That's dogwatch@therev.fm. Thought from the good book today: the wicked flee when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as the lion. Thank you for joining us. Remember, make the watch strong.
Dog Watch is brought to you by the Strong Blue Line and your #1 Christian hit station. Send your comments and questions to dogwatch@therev.fm. You can download the Dog Watch episodes from therev.fm, as well as offer your financial support for this program. Be encouraged, be strengthened, be enabled in your faith with Dog Watch.